Here are 7 habits of millionaires that most people realize too late. These habits helped me go from being a broke 24-year-old to becoming a cash millionaire by 27. If you start implementing them today, they can compound over time and lead you to financial success. Let's dive in, starting with habit number 1. Habit 1, talk to strangers. You're always just one conversation away from achieving your dreams. You've probably heard the phrase, your network is your net worth. But it's not just about knowing people. Many people treat networking like a game, collecting contacts, emails, and LinkedIn connections. The truth is, if you don't have real relationships, those connections won't help you. It's not who you know, it's whether they'll support you when you reach out. And the only way to build those relationships is by learning how to talk to strangers, how to turn a cold introduction into a warm connection with someone who genuinely wants to help you. The first step is mastering how to introduce yourself. This is the number 1 skill I teach young men I coach. The format is simple. Start with, "Hi, my name is." Then say, "I help, specific group, achieve, desired outcome, through, your unique process." This invites curiosity, making the other person ask, "How does that work?" You can practice this skill every day. The next time you're in a store, ask the cashier, "What time do you guys close?" It might seem trivial, but getting comfortable asking strangers questions helps break the fear of conversation. Ask your waiter how long they've been working there or what they would recommend if it were their birthday. These small interactions build confidence and make talking to new people feel natural. When I decided to be a guest on podcasts, I sent personalized messages to over 500 shows. My goal wasn't just to land the perfect podcast, it was to get as many reps as possible. Sure, getting ignored or rejected wasn't fun, but I learned long ago that success comes from chasing no's, not just yes. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. If you're not talking to strangers, you're not learning anything new. They don't know you, and you don't know what they know. The only way to grow is by asking questions and gaining new information. But you can't build a strong network if you don't make time for it. And that brings us to habit #2. Habit 2, manage your energy flows. Most people mistake being busy for being productive. I used to work 100-hour weeks. I was burned out, stressed out, and overworked, but I couldn't figure out how to escape the cycle. Now, I work less than 40 hours a week, sometimes as little as 3 hours, and I get way more done. The reason? I focus on energy management, not just time management. One of my favorite quotes from Benjamin Franklin is, "If you fail to plan, you plan to fail." I used to think I was productive, but I wasn't. Now, I follow a few key strategies to make sure I get the most out of every day. First, I block everything in my calendar: work, personal time, workouts, date nights. If it's not scheduled, it doesn't exist. This helps me see my actual capacity and avoid conflicts. If I realize there isn't enough time for a project, I know something has to be dropped to keep my commitments. Your brain wasn't designed to store endless information, it was designed to solve problems. So instead of keeping tasks in your head, put them in your calendar. Second, I always tackle the most important tasks first. This is what all millionaires do. They start their day by working on the projects that generate money and momentum. These are the leading dominoes, knock them over, and everything else falls into place. A common mistake people make is thinking freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But if you don't schedule your priorities, every yes to a distraction is a no to your goals. Saying yes to an unplanned day at the beach might seem harmless, but if it means pushing back a crucial project, you're unknowingly saying no to your future success. Millionaires don't operate like that. Finally, I review my calendar every night at 8 p.m. Even though my schedule is planned a week in advance, I check it daily to ensure everything feels right. Am I having the right conversations? Am I focusing on the right projects? If not, I adjust. And there's one more thing every millionaire puts in their calendar. That brings us to habit #3. Habit 3, feed your mind. One of the greatest gifts my dad ever gave me was an unlimited budget, but not for what you might think. When I got out of rehab at 19, my dad made me an offer: he would buy me as many computer books as I wanted, as long as I finished each one before getting the next. My dad didn't have unlimited money, so I knew this was a huge sacrifice. But he understood something I eventually learned: the power of self-education. The ability to read, learn, and solve problems on my own changed everything for me. Since then, I've read over 1,800 books. It still blows my mind that for about $20, you can absorb 20 years of knowledge in just a few hours. Anytime I set a new goal, whether it's in fitness, relationships, or business, I ask myself, What are the 3 to 5 books the best in the world recommend on this topic? Then, I go deep. I don't just read books, I study them. As I go through a book, I constantly ask myself, how can I apply this today? How can I teach this to others? I don't read just to finish, I read to learn. If I get one game-changing takeaway from a book, I immediately take action. And if that solves my problem, I have no issue leaving the book unfinished. Many of my millionaire friends, including myself, have a simple habit: we read first thing in the morning. It primes the mind, making us more alert to opportunities around us. And here's the best part: every day, I read at least 10 pages, hunting for something valuable I can use to serve the world. That energy, that excitement of highlighting a key insight and sharing it, is what makes reading work for me. If you want to dive deeper into how I structure my calendar and buy back my time, check out my book. I packed 27 years of experience into a single guide with only the strategies you actually need to maximize your life. But remember, knowledge alone won't make you a millionaire. That brings us to habit #4. Habit 4, be obnoxiously curious. The other day, my kids started asking why. At first, I told them to stop. But then one asked again. And then the other. Before I knew it, I was caught in a relentless cycle of why. That's when it hit me: I didn't want to shut down their curiosity. Sure, in that moment, they were messing with me, but the act of questioning is powerful. Asking why challenges assumptions, exposes new perspectives, and helps us truly understand the reasoning behind decisions. If you never ask questions, especially the uncomfortable ones, you'll never gain the insights needed to apply those lessons elsewhere in life. Albert Einstein once said, "I'm not talented, I'm just curious." Years ago, I was at a dinner party with my mentor. I noticed that he spent most of the time listening rather than talking, even though I knew he already understood much of what was being said. So I asked him, "Why do you do that?" His response: "I already know what I know. The only way I grow is by learning from others." That hit me hard, especially as someone who talks a lot. I realized I wasn't asking enough questions. Here's how I use curiosity to build success. First, I ask my customers. Both the ones who bought and the ones who didn't. Then, I ask my team. Curiosity about your customers and your team helps you build new mental models and solve problems more effectively. But the most important questions are the ones I ask myself. I always say, the world will show you where you're not free. If you never take the time to examine your own thoughts, emotions, and reactions, you'll never fully understand yourself. And if you don't understand yourself, you can't truly express who you are, in business, with family, or in life. Even today, curiosity continues to serve me. I was recently at my mentor Patrick Bet-David's office and saw a poster on the wall. I asked one of his sales guys, "What's that poster?" He explained that it displayed the company's goals. The catch? If the lower-level employees didn't hit their targets, the executives didn't get their rewards either. I immediately thought, what a simple yet brilliant way to align a business. So I took that idea and created the aligned goals ladder within my own company. Now, my team is working toward a common goal, all because I got curious in someone else's office. And that brings us to habit #5. Habit 5, ask for feedback. When my brother started his home building company, he almost went bankrupt. Why? Because he built a product that nobody wanted to buy. How did that happen? He never asked for feedback. He knew his target customers were first-time homebuyers, specifically women, but he never asked them what they wanted. He didn't get their input on design, location, finishes, or layout. The result? Homes with zero curb appeal. Before he ran out of money, he called me. We completely changed his approach. Instead of guessing, we identified 5 women who fit his ideal customer profile. Then, we toured open houses from his competitors and gathered real feedback about what these women loved. We took that insight straight to the designer and reworked the homes accordingly. The result? He went from near bankruptcy to building and selling 16 homes in his first year. That's the power of feedback. Money runs out, feedback multiplies. What's unique about my approach, and why I always make at least $1 million in my first year of business, is that I expect something to be wrong with my idea from the start. I don't hold on to the belief that I'm right and just hope the market responds. Instead, I look for ways to validate my assumptions. As Jim Collins explains in Good to Great, you should start by shooting bullets, not cannonballs. Fire small, low-risk shots at the target, refine your aim, and only when you're consistently hitting do you load up the cannon and take the big shot. But here's the catch: you have to be careful who you take feedback from. I used to make the mistake of asking everyone for their opinion. But feedback from the wrong people, those who aren't your target customer, is useless. Even worse, some people sign up for your product but never actually use it. Their feedback won't help either. I see this same mistake when businesses fire employees and then ask them for feedback on how to improve. Why would you change your company based on advice from someone you fired? So yes, get feedback, but get it from the right people. And that brings us to habit number 6, a habit millionaires can't live without. Habit 6, measure everything. A year ago, I set a goal: I wanted visible abs. Why? Well, I heard there were 22 million millionaires in the US, but only 3 million people with visible abs. That sounded like a fun challenge. I gave myself 90 days. What changed? Everything. To get there, I had to measure everything: my macros, my workouts, my weight. I tracked these daily, sometimes twice a day, to make sure I stayed on course. In the end, I dropped 33 pounds in 90 days and got absolutely shredded. The best part? I've kept it up for 12 months. How? By continuing to measure. I firmly believe, what you measure with specificity and frequency expands. This principle doesn't just apply to fitness, I use it in business too. Every day, I get a cash flow report for all my companies. This gives me a real-time pulse on how money is moving in and out. Sure, my CFO creates detailed reports, but something as simple as tracking cash flow daily has been one of my most powerful business strategies. But even with all the tracking in the world, none of the millionaires I know would make it anywhere without this last habit. Which brings us to habit #7. Habit 7, default to action. People talk to me all the time about starting something new, whether it's their first venture or their next big idea. But they always wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. The truth? Success isn't about making the right decision, it's about making a decision and then making it right. That's how much I believe in taking action when something is on your heart. Back in 2012, my company, Float Own, was acquired by Demandforce. As part of the deal, I had to stay for 12 months to earn my full payout, what's called an earnout. But after just a few months, I had an idea for a new company called Clarity. I knew I wanted to build it, but leaving early would be a terrible financial decision. Still, after just 7 weeks of working on the idea, I made the leap. 3 months later, I had raised $1.6 million in funding, and in a crazy turn of events, Demandforce was acquired by Intuit for $600 million, triggering a clause that meant I still got my full payout. That's when I truly understood a principle I'd heard before: the world rewards those who take courageous action. Courage isn't making a decision when you have no fear, it's making a decision despite fear. If I had stayed put, I might never have built that next company, never hit that next level of growth, and never earned both payouts. I bet on myself. And that's exactly what I want you to do. Be patient with your results but impatient with action. You might be young and feel like you should be further ahead. Or maybe you're later in life wondering, why am I not where I want to be yet? The answer? Be impatient with daily action. Take consistent steps forward, but understand that real results take time. You can't make a baby in 1 month with 9 women. Millionaires don't just talk about doing things, they do them. By the time they mention an idea, they've already taken action on it. They have a process for moving forward. One of my favorite frameworks is MIN's, most important next step. Instead of getting overwhelmed by the big picture, I focus on the one thing blocking my progress. Then, I commit to taking any action toward that step. That small move builds momentum, and momentum is contagious. Money loves speed. The best entrepreneurs and millionaires succeed because they can process imperfect information and still make a decision. But just as important as what I do is what I don't do. If you want to learn the 7 things I quit to go from broke to millionaire, click here. I'll see you on the other side.